So you want to get good at Craigslist. First and foremost, before we even jump into the video, I want to say thank you so much for supporting my channel, for watching Mr. Shoe Guy, Burns Media and Publishing, for supporting my endeavors. It's been fantastic these last several months, just kind of getting to know you guys getting to know me, and us talking about shoes, flipping footwear for profit. So the question of the day: how do I get into Craigslist? How do I penetrate that market? We talked a lot about eBay in the past. We've talked about some other sites where you can sell your clothes, sell your shoes for a profit. But what about Craigslist? Is that a viable market? Why would you sell on Craigslist? Well, first thing, is Craigslist a viable market? It is a viable market. Generally, I prefer selling my shoes on eBay because I can get higher dollars for them. It feels like, in my personal opinion and my experience, and also with a lot of the other people that I talk to who sell a lot in various places, it feels like you can get more money on eBay than you can on Craigslist. But that's not to say that eBay is a better platform. As a matter of fact, sometimes I greatly prefer selling on Craigslist. And here are a few reasons why. Number one, when you sell on Craigslist, you basically take it almost directly off the site once there's a mutual interest between the seller and the buyer. So you're going to put an item up on Craigslist as the seller, and then the buyer is going to see the item, contact you and say, hey, I'm interested, or hey, I want to buy it. At that point, you're going to exchange some sort of contact information, and then you're going to meet in person somewhere, and you're going to conduct the transaction offline, essentially. Whereas on eBay, you're going to complete the entire transaction on eBay, and if you don't complete the entire transaction on eBay, the buyer has recourse, and if you do complete the transaction on eBay, the buyer still has recourse. And so, because eBay is controlling everything and they want to own the entire transaction, there are more opportunities when selling on eBay for the third-party selling platform, i.e. eBay, to side with the buyer or to side with the seller. But long story short, eBay is more involved than Craigslist is. On eBay, you can be banned for screwing up a transaction, for screwing up several transactions, there's a feedback system where you may have really good feedback. Maybe you don't really have a lot of negative transactions, but guaranteed if you're selling a lot on eBay, they're going to keep more records of those transactions. Whereas on Craigslist, there are no records of the transaction beyond a posting that you'll put up there, and it will expire from the site within X amount of days. Usually I think it's 45 or 90 or something like that. And after a while it just completely expires. You can't edit it, you can't really renew it, you can't do anything with it. I mean, you can renew listings, let's clear that up. You can renew listings, but after a while these things get taken down. The most in terms of recourse that can happen with Craigslist is your ad gets taken down. And that does happen a lot. So you will have somebody who, maybe it's another seller in town who's competing, maybe your competition, that flags your item on Craigslist, and the site moderators, they come and they take it down. But you can simply just repost it again, and somebody can flag it and take it down. You can just post it again. I've been selling on Craigslist for not as long as I've been selling on eBay, but a couple years now, and never really had too much of an issue with Craigslist. I have had issues with people complaining after they receive their item on eBay, even though the transaction was fine. And that's something you have to deal with. No matter what you're selling, whether you're selling in the real world, in the physical world, and you're not reselling, whether you are reselling and it's on a local Craigslist-like platform where you're going to meet in person, whether you're selling on eBay, Etsy, Facebook, it doesn't matter. If you're taking money from somebody and you're delivering a product or service, you're going to have to deal with returns. I do on a daily basis We're not even talking eBay specific. We're talking in general. I had a yard sale this weekend, and a woman came up to me. She saw 2 pairs of shoes on the ground. I didn't put many pairs of shoes out, but I did put like 2 or 3. I put 1 pair of like really kind of low-end Nike. I don't remember what they were, but they were, for all intents and purposes, kind of older Air Force One type canvas type sneakers, except they were canvas, and they were red and white. They were in pretty good condition for me, having owned them 10 years. The other pair, there was 2 other pairs. One other pair was a high-end pair of like ski boots. Well, they were like casual / ski boots, and they were brown, and they were really, really nice. They were almost new condition. I had them out for a reason. I wasn't really trying to sell them, but I was trying to pique people's interest locally to see if I could exchange contact information with them so I could sell to them later at a really, what I felt to be more appropriate time. But I had them out. And then lastly, I had another pair. I think it was like a pair of women's shoes or something like that. I was selling it for my mom. So in any case, I had a couple pairs of shoes out. This woman comes up to me and looks at all 3. It's obvious which one she's interested in, the high-end ones. Now, you know, when you run yard sales, you have the flexibility to price however you want. And I ended up pricing, I had everything kind of price negotiable. The white canvas sneaks, they were, I think it was like $10 maybe, yeah, something like that. And then, because I remember they were in good condition. The ski boots, I think I said they were going to be for $40. Now I had her ask me like what they were going to be, and I told her, I mean, make me an offer, and she tried to make me an offer. Long story short, we're still talking about returns here. She bought the white pair of shoes that she didn't really like so much, and within 5 minutes she left from her car, came back over and tried to return them. Now, of course, I'm going to accept her return. Thank God I had right behind me a whiteboard, which I took my black marker and wrote, "No returns." Because that's what I'm saying. You will always have to deal with returns no matter what you do. So, I mentioned that just to let you know that you should get used to it. You're going to have to deal with returns on eBay and on Craigslist. Deal with it. It's not that big of a deal. It's frustrating, yes, but that is one of the things as a professional, as a sales professional, and that's really what you are. Even as a reseller, you're still a sales professional. You need to become more proficient from a customer service standpoint and get used to dealing with customer service issues. There are always going to be issues. And there are going to be some good times, but there's also going to be bad times. And so that's what you need to prepare yourself for as a reseller. So, with that said, those are some of the kind of key issues you need to keep in mind when you're dealing with Craigslist. It's a little different than eBay, but it can be more, I feel like, liberating and rewarding. However, there are some stresses involved with Craigslist beyond customer service issues. One of the issues is that it's really difficult to scale a Craigslist business in my experience. In my personal experience, I feel like it's a little bit easier to scale eBay more so than it is Craigslist. And here's why. With eBay, you can, you know, farm out your listings, you can copy paste. I mean, you can do the same things with Craigslist, but for me personally, it's really difficult because Craigslist is full of one-offs. So it's almost like and when I say one-offs, I mean a transaction that you're going to complete and then you have to meet with somebody where you are. Unless you're going to basically give complete control of your inventory to somebody else and you don't have to handle it. But then you have to deal with the trust. So that's kind of what it is for me. You still have that to some degree with eBay, but with Craigslist, it's a lot of one-off transactions, which can be really good. Well, it can be okay, but it's not like a consistent business that you can just leave running and go forget and go take a 2-week vacation. I feel like it's a little easier to take a vacation from reselling with eBay than it is with Craigslist. Because if you don't list something consistently on Craigslist, and if you're not constantly answering buyers' phone calls or responding to their emails the minute they type it, you are kind of out of luck. That's something with Craigslist that you got to keep in mind. There is a sense of urgency, and there should be a sense of urgency. And if there's no sense of urgency with your Craigslist thing, you're not going to really do well with it. So there's a churn and burn type thing going on with Craigslist. You're going to post something, you're going to try and establish in your buyer a sense of urgency. It needs to happen like that. They need to realize that they're going for the item. So I mean, for real, eBay is more of a, you post an item, you might let it sit. There's an auction, so there could be a sense of urgency with that on the buyer's end. For me personally, I stick with buy it now. I have done auctions in the past. Those are fine, but I just prefer buy it now. Because honestly, I like to kind of set it and forget it. I don't like feeling like I have to go do something right then and there. However, Craigslist is good, and I think another big difference between Craigslist and eBay is the type of items that will sell on Craigslist, whereas on eBay, you're looking generally at higher end stuff. Now, eBay's changed a lot over the last couple of years, so I feel like the quality of items has shifted around somewhat, but still, in comparison to Craigslist, the items on eBay are generally, you're going to get more for them. You can sell higher end stuff. Whereas on Craigslist, you can send, and we're talking specifically shoes here, shoes. So on eBay, it's a lot easier to sell a pair of Gucci loafers and get a great deal of profit and get a higher profit margin on eBay than it is on Craigslist. Because on Craigslist, people are looking for that deal. They're looking for that crazy, ridiculous deal, which is not bad to be ridiculous. It's just, again, if you're trying to move something quicker, when I say move, I mean buy it and sell it and basically flip it quick, I would recommend sticking with Craigslist. If you're trying to go for top dollar or closer to top dollar, I would recommend eBay. So those are a couple differences between eBay and Craigslist, and highs and lows, pros and cons, things that you should keep in mind if you haven't done a lot with Craigslist. I would recommend it. I would definitely diversify to have Craigslist and eBay, because for me, I don't believe in exclusively putting all your eggs in the eBay basket. I don't believe in putting all your eggs in any basket. So for me, in terms of how I make my money day to day, I have probably 6 or 7 different streams of income, and that's purposeful. That is not reactionary. That's always been like that because that's how I feel most comfortable. So in terms of how I look at it, eBay and Craigslist, it's ideal for me if I'm going 50-50 with them. Maybe 60-40 at times, depending on the time of the year. If it's super cold, I could do 45, 65 or something like that, or 35, 65 or something like that. But I'm definitely not trying to go 70%, 30, 80%, 20. I'm just not, I don't like it to be lopsided. And even still, there's other venues, selling venues that I'm going to look at. So for me personally, like I said, eBay, Craigslist, I also sell my ebook, and I also have a job. So, and aside from that, I'm selling my photography services on Craigslist. So there's a lot of different things that I'm doing, and I recommend you do those things as well. As a reseller, I would never recommend you just quit your job, go do one platform and just become a slave to eBay or Craigslist. I just think I think that it works for some people. It will never, ever work for me. So, with that said, this video was supposed to be eBay and Craigslist specific, really kind of focusing on Craigslist. I wanted to just throw a little more tips out there and kind of details, pros and cons, so people understand that, yes, I sell on eBay, but I also recommend Craigslist as well. So, with that said, if you like the content of this video, please hit that, yes, that subscribe button down below. Go get a copy of my book, 50 Brands to Buy and Why. It's called Flipping Men's Footwear for Profit. So if you like to sell shoes, if you want to sell shoes, if you need to sell more shoes, go get that book and learn how to do this a little bit better.